Welcome to Untitled. Thank you for joining me once again. I hope you're having a wonderful weekend. I know our students began writing exams with the Caribbean Examination Council this past week. I wish you the best of luck over the next month. A number of our secondary school students also held graduation ceremonies, and I congratulate the students who received their diplomas and are advancing to the next stage of their academic careers. May God bless all your endeavors. Last week, we saw the official opening and commissioning of 3 bridges along the Eau-Liblan Highway, which had been destroyed by Tropical Storm Erica. This is a significant achievement that improves access along a most critical corridor to and from the north of the island. Once again, I want to place on record our gratitude to the government of the People's Republic of China for funding these important projects. We are really, truly grateful to the People's Republic of China. And as you know, since the establishment of the diplomatic relations with China in 2004, Dominica has benefited from unmatched assistance in several areas of development, including infrastructure, agriculture, education, and health. We place significant value on our relationship with the People's Republic of China. My government continues to pledge our friendship and loyalty and look forward to further strengthening of our bonds of friendship. On Wednesday, we reopened our borders to returning nationals. As you heard from both the tourism and health ministers, there are clearly defined protocols in place for screening and testing at our ports of entry. These are designed to ensure the safety of every single Dominican citizen, as the possibility of COVID-19 infection remains a real threat. I welcome home the Dominicans who have arrived since then and thank them for their cooperation with the authorities and adherence to the protocols implemented at the ports. They are both for your safety, for the safety of your family, and for the safety of our country and our citizens. I know it's difficult and I know there were issues, but we have to work together to overcome those. I also thank our frontline workers who continue to give of their best efforts to keep this country and its people safe. You have submitted some questions over the past days that I want to spend some time answering now. Your response to last Sunday's program, for example, in respect to the PCR testing, there's one question that was posed to me regarding the PCR test requirements to enter Dominica, and the question is, do babies have to undergo a PCR test? And I have been advised that if the child is 5 years and under, that baby is exempt or is exempted from having to conduct the PCR test and the rapid test as well. So this is the case. And the question is also, as it is now, the protocol requires for you to have the PCR test done between 24 to 72 hours before arrival into Dominica. We recognize that this has been a challenge for many travelers because you have to wait, I believe, about 5 days or so to get the test results. Now, can you imagine in Dominica you get it the same day? In these big countries, you have to wait for 5 days to get it, and 7 days to get it. And so we recognize that this is posing a challenge to many of our people coming back home. And there is a discussion at the Ministry of Health now on whether to extend that to 7 days. So 7 days prior to your arrival in Dominica. It is not a decision yet. I have not seen anything come to me. I know that we have had discussions at the Ministry of Health level. Once those recommendations come to me, then I'll be in a position, and the Cabinet will be in a position to take an action on this. But as of now, the protocol for 24 to 72 hours prior to arrival remain in effect. The other countries in the Caribbean have moved to 7 days and 5 days, and Dominica is looking at doing likewise. But no decision has been taken. I'm hoping that by Tuesday or so, that decision will be taken. There's a question about when is the police force going to start recruiting police officers. I'm advised that we are in fact accepting applications. And some applicants are being screened. So if you're interested in joining the police force, then you should proceed with applying to the Chief of Police, indicating your interest in joining the police force. As you know, last year, as Minister of Finance and the Cabinet, we approved 100 additional positions in the police force. And all of these positions need to be filled. They have done some training, but we need to crank up and to move with haste to fill in those 100 new positions that have been created within the police force. And I want to commend the efforts of the Chief of Police and his rank and file. And as I indicated last week's program, when I spoke to two local tour operators, this has received tremendous positive and overwhelming feedback. And it tells me that you want to hear more stories about people in our communities engage in positive activity to develop self and country. We will have more of this type of discussion going forward as together we devise ways to continue the development of a country, Dominica. On this evening's program, I want to talk about the work this government is doing to improve communications technology and to digitalize our operations in line with the demands of the competitive global economy. In the new government sworn into office in December of 2019, we created a new portfolio called the Digital Economy and assigned a young, vibrant man to lead. In the Dominican Labour Party manifesto of 2019, we promised a dynamic Dominica and a new season of development. This, of course, meant an acknowledgement of the changing face of our world, a digital transformation that requires us to use the latest technology to improve our approaches in all aspects of development. This digital transformation in the global economy is happening at breakneck speed. We saw that even more clearly during the COVID-19 pandemic. We now have no doubt that digital technologies will become increasingly important in education, in our work, in production processes, and in our daily lives. To be competitive, we must adapt. The question is, how are we seeking to do this? I am joined now by the Minister for the Digital Economy, Senator Honorable Cassidy Laville, and Senator Honorable Oscar George, Minister of State responsible for Telecommunications and Broadcasting, who will speak to us about our latest efforts to create and expand a digital economy here. I want to welcome both of you to Anupali, and it's my pleasure to have both of you here. Now, Oscar, you grew up in Penville, but you grew up at a time when you were not exposed to Totem Disco. Totem Disco was in Galba, in Penville, and it was run by Henderson A10. And I had a few dances there myself. That's where you would have danced to the tunes of Coupe Cloué. Coupe Cloué was a Haitian artist. And you have some songs, and you know, his songs were very long. There's one song, for example, Coupe Cloué, is about over 12 minutes long. And so what the guys used to do in Penville, and because guys used to go there quite often too, they would pay the DJ $5 or $10 because they're marking a girl to dance, but they want a song that is long because only one dance they will get. You know, so they'll pay the DJ $5 or $10, and then they will rush to the girl, and you know, so they'll have a dance with the girl for 12 minutes, you know, back in the days and so on. But it was a wonderful time to see guys like Rupert Etienne and others there dancing in there, and we had my friend there in Lower Penville, Mr. Laville there, you know, so it was a wonderful time. Sorry you missed that exciting part of Penville. But tell us, you know, there are a number of things happening inside Penville, and I have given you the lead on a couple of them with regards to the irrigation system in Savannah, or how things
are going smoothly, PM. You know, we still believe that agriculture plays an important role in the development of Dominica, and as such, you know, we see Penville as one of the areas where agriculture can be very progressive and provide a lot of opportunities So what we have done, we have signed a contract with the WASCO to develop a server and irrigation project. And we are in advanced stages as we speak. I think on the latest schedule they showed me, we expect completion in August 7, thereabout. And you know, we ordered some fittings. That's the only hold up for the project. So it's going to benefit all the farmers. Just under 50 farmers will benefit from that. I'm really happy for the persons of Penville, and the whole intention is just to boost production and not just produce to supply the Portsmouth market, but to export, and that's where we want to head with this project.
That's good. I mean, it's a project which started some time. There's some challenges, and I'm happy that we're making progress towards its completion. Now we have the new health center in Lower Penville. That's on its way.
Yeah, I think that will do wonders for primary healthcare in Penville. It's part of a wider program to develop 12 health facilities around Dominica, and as I speak, work is ongoing nicely. I think we're on the foundation as we speak, and I expect completion sometime in November, October, thereabout.
Yeah, and of course we're building several homes to many families there.
Yes, we're in the hurricane season, so housing is very critical at this time, and you know, we had stopped for a while, but we are recommenced, and I'm happy to see a lot of homes are going up now.
I'm happy for the people of Penville. These are very wonderful people, very wonderful people whom I have the greatest of love and appreciation for. Very kind. You guys don't mind calling by your first name.
No, that's fine.
That's fine, because you know I have to be careful, you know.
It's fine.
Otherwise, I may have a mutiny in the cabinet. All right, Cassidy. I mean, I knew your father very well. Very nice man. You know, I met him many years ago, and I knew he was a very productive farmer. I mean, he was one of the most productive farmers in Dominica. I mean, did you fall far from the tree, or you do something?
PM, is interesting that you said that. I fell right under the tree, that's for sure. Okay. So I've been able to benefit from some of his skills. My hands probably aren't as blessed as him, but I do my backyard gardening, and we do some agriculture as well in Layo Park area. So I enjoy particularly planting vegetables. I do my propagation myself. Okay, so it's something that I really enjoy, you know, and he has obviously passed that along to me.
So I can come and check you, so I can learn a few things from you.
Yeah, you can. I can teach you how to graft.
Grafting,
okay. Budding, alien, the works.
Good, excellent. You know the Minister of Public Works and the digital economy. You're in politics, you're new to this kind of public life. How has it been for you?
Well, it has been life-changing, of course. There's been a lot of differences for me, particularly coming from the private sector. But like the good book says and the good Lord says, there's a time for everything. So with that, I am open to the changes in my life. I've accepted it, I've embraced it, and I've done what I can, my very best actually, to conform and to adapt and get the job done. The portfolio is heavy, like you said, it's a lot of work, it's a huge mandate, but I have an excellent team that I'm working with at Public Works and Digital Economy. We have a remarkable team of engineers, surveyors, administrative staff, architects, ICT personnel, and so on. So in this very short time, I've had the pleasure to work with them. They've shown a tremendous dedication to the task, and I could not see myself working with a better team. And even with my cabinet colleagues, I see great leadership with them, great direction. I see structure. I see the hard-working attitude. So in that type of environment, I can easily thrive. So heavy work can be made light.
No, well, you know, we're here to support, and I have every confidence in you, and I have no doubt that you will do well, and we look forward to that.
Thank you.
What about you, Oscar?
Yeah, I think I'm surrounded by a good team also at Telecoms. You know, it's a pretty new area for me, but you know, I accept challenges, and I think just getting a piece of every aspect of life is very important in building an all-round person. So I'm up for the challenge, and I look forward to every single aspect of it.
I mean, you guys are young, you guys are bright, you know, you're not all like me, so you have all the vitality, all the prerequisites and the characteristics to do well, you know, so keep at it. Now Oscar, I mean, we had Tropical Storm Erica and Hurricane Maria, and we started to strengthen our post-disaster communication mechanisms. We are into another hurricane season. What steps have we taken to boost our telecommunications capacity?
We have definitely taken a number of steps to boost our telecommunications capacity. We have heavily invested in infrastructure, building a robust and resilient network around Dominica. And we believe that is very important for bringing connectivity to public sites and public facilities, because we want to reduce the telecommunications divide. And a very important component of that is undergrounding of fiber, and that in itself has a lot of resiliency benefits. As it relates to communication post-disaster, we had the experience of Maria, and what that showed us is that, telecommunication infrastructure might not be operational following a disaster. The internet might be down, radio broadcasting might not be operational either. So what we did is we approached the ITU. ITU is the International Telecommunications Union, and in collaboration with DASI, Dominica Amateur Radio Club, we were able to commission and install what we call a wing-in network. So essentially what that does is it's a radio messaging network. It has the capacity to send messages, emails, attachments, different messages that can be achieved all around the island. So also that service it doesn't need the internet to function, and that is very, very good. We also have solar generators, so it could go off the grid, and that does wonders. God forbid we are faced with another disaster, and the telecommunication infrastructure is down. We could rely on that to send.
You're telling the citizens and residents of our country that you are saying to them, we're in a better position now than we were at the time of Maria in terms of telecommunications and the resilience of it.
Definitely, I think we're in a much better place. As we see, disaster response need to happen swiftly, and if you have communication network that you're able to make calls, contact the disaster operations office, even make contact with persons out of Dominica, that in itself is very important, and that network allows us to do that.
Very good. Now, we recently launched what is called WindLink radio messaging system. How is this system expected to boost our disaster preparedness as well, or disaster response?
So what that system does, it gives us an additional layer of resilience. We have met with all the operators, including Flow, Digicel, and Epic, and they have shared with us disaster plans. And we as a government, we have also created our own disaster plans. But nevertheless, it's always better to have follow-up plans, and this is one of the plans we have in case these traditional telecommunications operators find themselves in a bit of a problem. So as I said, this has been installed. We have training ongoing to ensure that we build capacity around using the network, using the service, and following any disaster, we'll be able to make swift communication with first responders, and that in itself is very excellent for us.
Now, you also spoke some time ago, you gave a speech, I believe, and you spoke about the creation of a contingency fund for disaster response that will be administered by both the NTRC and ECTEL. What is the significance of this fund, and what is expected in terms of its impact?
This fund is very, very significant. Being able to communicate is very important, but also of importance is having the financial resources to boost response efforts. So through the ECTEL Directorate, the recommendation was made to establish this fund. Basically, this fund is well justified, given the fact that we are faced with a number of disasters almost biannually, and also the advent of Covid, we can be faced with emergencies of that nature. So every country, in the region, we have some fragile economies, and we could find ourselves in need of some financial resources. So this fund has been established, and what I can say is that we have benefited from this fund already. A couple months back, ECTEL made 10,000 US available to us, which was directed to the purchase of PPEs. And that is just fruits we bear from that fund. In my opinion, it's a very, very useful fund to have.
Yeah. So the capitalization of this fund will come from the revenues of ECTEL and NTRC?
Yes, revenues from ECTEL. Actually, the intention was to allocate a percentage of the annual budget of ECTEL into this fund. We still not settled on that because there are some pros and cons of using that approach relative to just having a fixed amount. So we are still in discussions as it relates to that. We are also in discussions of setting up a committee to administer the funds and also setting up guidelines as to the application process and the disbursement process.
As you know, we'll be doing the same thing from a national standpoint in terms of creating a vulnerability risk fund. And we intend to capitalize it $500,000 every month in the event of a disaster, so we have something saved. You know what they always tell us, we save for a rainy day. And that came in very handy. Saving came very handy after Hurricane Maria. We had money saved that we could have used to help the people. Now, let's talk about internet connectivity. We live in a dynamic digital environment. Everything is online, and effective communication channels become more and more critical by the minute. Within this context, what is the government's policy on provision of reliable internet service to the populace? You want to?
Well, absolutely. Internet connectivity is really the platform for the digital economy. So telecommunications and internet connectivity actually comes first. It precedes digital economy. Back then, we knew, say, in the mid to late 90s, internet costs were very high. We have seen a reduction of that over the years, and government's policy is such that internet should be reliable, internet should be available, and internet should be at low cost. And the government has been doing its very best to ensure all of these. I've had the privilege to be with the Honorable Minister, George, right here, or may I call him Oscar, like UPM, to sit on a few meetings, even with service providers. And he has been championing that cause from the very first day he took his oath. So we are committed to that cause, certainly.
Yeah. Well, I can attest to the fact that he's taking his job seriously, and he's really pushing there. Oscar, I mean, we've been affected by Hurricane Maria, and we've seen significant challenges with internet access. Some parts of the island, doesn't have connection to the internet. Even in Penville, it is as far as Amber and haven't gotten to Penville yet. What are we doing though to address this? I mean, some students some time ago raised this point on social media over the Conducive territory.
Yeah, PM, I think that's a very important issue. It's coming up on 3 years since some areas of Dominica hasn't been connected. And, in my respectful view, that is unacceptable. There have been arguments that, the return on investment may not be there, meaning that the operators may not make the money back as fast as they would like. But with an argument like that, we need to get, it has to be substantiated. We need the data, because the regulator will not be in a position to assist without the data. But, and to be fair to the operators, they have been rolling out their service, to be fair to them. But the question is, why are they going so slow? Why hasn't the entire island has been restored? And that's the nature of discussion.
But people are saying to me that it's because they make a lot more money on data. So, Yeah, you don't have to respond, because I have a bit more. I can say what I want, or what people tell me to say. But that's the impression people are having.
Yeah, I think it's an important concern. I think there's some merit in it. Yeah. But we will also seek to address the issue of mobile data PM. But just going back to the question, we through government intervention, the NTRC issued some bids for community Wi-Fi's and fixed wireless broadband. As I mentioned last month, it was we had received these proposals from the service providers, but upon review by the regulator, we wasn't comfortable with the content of the proposal, so the operators were asked to resubmit. I must report that this new proposal has been received and has been analyzed.
So you're saying to the country that though it is the responsibility of the service providers to put the capital investment to ensure connectivity in every community, the government recognizing the importance of access to the internet to every household, was prepared and is prepared to finance those efforts?
Yeah, we plan to subsidize the efforts of the operators, because we understand that COVID has brought on a lot of economic and financial issues, and that has been the sentiment of the operators. So government was in a position to assist, and we still are.
And when the bids were sent out, they came back much higher than what NTRC had envisioned.
Yes, based on the scope.
The cost of it?
Yes, based on the scope of works the NTRC envisioned, the prices we received were excessive. And another issue is that we wanted to achieve fixed wireless broadband, and what they proposed was not fixed wireless broadband. But since then, I've been advised that the new proposals are inclusive of fixed wireless data. So I expect a conclusion of this process very soon, at least a contract to one of the operators.
So, but while there were no domestic connections, so there were no fixed internet lines at the homes, we also had internet connection at the schools.
Yeah.
Because I can speak to Penville, the principal has been very, very helpful. So in Penville, the Penville Primary School, though Penville had no domestic connections, there was connection at the school, as you know. And the students were allowed to come in to use the internet there and to use the school devices. So we had high school students and college students, those who were interested.
Yeah, I think we should give the principal of the Penville Primary School some praise. Also the principal of the Thibault Primary School, she did quite an amazing job, Miss Remy. But we took it upon us to ensure that all schools had internet and students could access it. And I think we have to give some praise to the Ministry of Education for what they have done, led by Honorable Alfred and her team, the PS and Mr. Geese and these people. They did an excellent job, because we had to train some teachers to use the various platforms like Google Classrooms and Learning Hub and stuff like that. So it was a collaborative effort, I must say, not just only from our ministry or the service providers, but also from other stakeholders like the Ministry of Education.
Sure. And I want to thank the Minister for Education. You're right on this, and she's really passionate about this, and raised it in cabinet many times and reported to us on this issue. Cassidy, we're speaking of Ministry of Education and what they have done. They've also spoken about a blended approach when school reopens. Are we exploring ways to assist students with devices for online learning? I know some years ago we were given a tablet to every child. That was criticized back then by some. But we see the wisdom in that decision then. What is the government going to do this time around?
Well, there will be more wisdom with this government for sure. Yeah. So, as far as I understand, Ministry of Education has given out at least 390 devices, particularly during this COVID-19 period, to assist students with devices. UNICEF has assisted with 100 devices also through the World Bank Digital Transformation Project also. We're planning to provide devices to all secondary school students and all primary school students as well. So this is something that the government has lobbied hard for, to ensure that all students can benefit, so as to make learning easier and accessible to all students. So that's the government's policy.
Excellent. Now, you have also made representation, Oscar, with ECTEL, to assist with regulatory measures to secure full internet access, because you made the point earlier about the fact that telecommunication providers sometimes do not want to go into areas where they think the investment they may not see a quick return on the investments. Now, this is not unique to Dominica. It is throughout the ECTEL grouping, and even, I dare say, even beyond the ECTEL grouping. Are we working on legislation for this, to address this issue?
Yeah, we have made representation to ECTEL in that regard, and it all stems from the license the operators have to operate in Dominica. Some of the obligations of the operators are that they provide internet access to the entire island. Also, another obligation is that they don't discriminate. And what I mean by that is, the price you charge a customer on the West Coast for broadband should not differ from what you charge someone on the East Coast. They may say that it costs more to get to the East Coast because of the terrain and stuff like that.
I mean, it's one island and so forth.
Yeah, and that's what the license stipulates. So these two things, we are now seeking legal advice from ECTEL as relates to that. The NTRC has been assisting with that, getting that, because as soon as we get that recommendation, I'll be in a position to make a decision as to how we treat this.
Because, I mean, the issue of cost, and the people complain to me that the moment they put on some data, I mean, it gets eaten up even before they use the phone.
Yeah, the mobile data tariffs is very important. I have a lot of friends that complain every day about this issue. You top up, activate a 7-day plan, and after 4 days, your data has been exhausted, and that is a serious concern. But I'm happy to say that the NTRC did a comprehensive study in terms of that, and one of the recommendations coming from that study was that we review the current tariff regulations, and this is also at ECTEL, and recommendations will be expected very soon, and we will seek to do or amend new legislation to control the tariff or to make it a fairer rate for our customers.
Well, let's just say to the listener and viewing public, you're free. You could call at any time. Feel free to call to ask specific questions to these two ministers on the subject matter we're discussing this evening, please. The numbers are 611-3400 and 225-3400. Now, Cassidy, how do these issues of internet connectivity and access factor into our plans to build this digital economy that we're talking about?
Well, with the digital economy, everyone has an opportunity to be a producer. In the traditional economy in Dominica, many of us are consumers. With that being said, the internet is what is going to establish the linkages between the consumers and producers, business to business, government to business, government to consumer. Yeah. It links and establishes that network, that framework that we're going to operate on. So we are waiting for everything to be back to normal as it relates to connectivity in Dominica. It's through this connectivity that we're going to reach every corner of Dominica and every individual in Dominica. So it's absolutely necessary, PM.
I mean, as I indicated in my introductory remarks, we created this portfolio of digital economy, the first time in our country's history. Many people are asking about this. I know that your ministry yourself, you've been on a drive to educate all of us about what does it mean to us. Can you tell the public what is the digital economy? Before you answer the question, while you think about the response, let's take a call, please. Hello? Hi.
Good afternoon, gentlemen. My question is, what is the government's position on 5G coming up? I'd like to know what the government is doing that. Also, what's done about all the buyers of the birds are making nests in them right now. Really bad. Thank you.
Do you get it?
Yes, thank you, caller, for the question. 5G is basically the 5th generation of communication technologies. So 5G will present a number of benefits over the current 4G network. I'm referring to greater bandwidth, latency, and stuff like that. But to achieve this greater speeds and bandwidth, we will see a higher level of radiation. Yeah. So a lot of people have linked this higher level of radiation to health conditions, and all evidence suggests that this is not warranted. I have spoken to all the operators as it relates to 5G and introduction in Dominica, and I can say that none of the operators currently in Dominica is willing to head into 5G.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. We want to answer this question about what is the digital economy.
Okay, so like you said, this is obviously revolutionary for us here in Dominica. I'm sure many of us in 2019 heard digital economy for the first time. However, it's been a word that was coined in the early 90s in Japan by an economics professor, but here it is today. Digital economy is with us. How is it different from just the economy? Really, what it is, digital economy is the economy that is based on the internet. It's based on telecommunications infrastructure and telecommunications technology to support and to provide business and commerce. So in a nutshell, it's simple. It's really just business and commerce that is supported by the internet.
Go ahead, please.
Yes. The fact that this word and this term is new, we've been on a drive for the past few months. We've worked very closely with Creed to ensure that we inform the public about the attendant benefits that come with this transformation to digital economy. Yes.
But why is this digital transformation and digital economy so important? I mean, why is it so necessary at this time?
Yeah, it's absolutely necessary for our mere and basic survival. Like you said earlier on, the world is moving, it's transforming very quickly to the adoption of digital economy.
That's what we will call it. Please. Hello? Hi, go ahead, please. You may want to speak up a bit. You might want to turn on your television or your radio and speak up a bit, please. Yeah, thank you. Hello?
Hi.
Okay.
I would like to get on the program.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Hello?
Yes, sir. We're hearing you. Go ahead.
Mr. PM,
Yes, sir.
when the providers put up the new system they're talking about, will our service be better? You cannot answer the question, but I'll ask you the question. Hi.
Thank you. Oscar, we'll get you done saying in a while. Let us ask you why is this transformation absolutely necessary?
The transformation to digital economy is going to change the way that we conduct business, not only in Dominica but with the world. The cost of transactions through the internet is vastly reduced. Say, for example, you have someone, say a Dominican living abroad, who wants a birth certificate. I know of some people, relatives actually, who wait for Christmas time or Carnival time for them to actually come down and physically go to the registry to get it. It may be a birth certificate, death certificate for someone, marriage certificate, and so on. We're going to see that change drastically. You're going to have someone be able to access online platforms and actually pay for a birth certificate and get it in a matter of hours. That is the type of revolution that we want to see. We want to see the transactional cost being reduced significantly. We want to see a farmer, for example, who's still in the soil, planting vegetables, taking a 5-minute break or even less and paying a bill without having to take a bus or take his pickup and go to pay a utility and stand in line for minutes and hours. For example, in this COVID period, we saw how long the lines were. We're going to see the way of lives of people being transformed. We're going to see travel facilitation, for example, with tourism. We're going to see, you're going to find that businesses are able to access greater markets, and we're not only restricted by the numbers in Dominica, but we're going to see that we can access the 6 billion people around the world. So there's so many attendant benefits to transform into a digital economy, and we're excited about it here in Dominica. I know you are too, and I just look forward to the day that we can see ourselves leading the way in our transformation process.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Now, Oscar, do you want to respond to the caller? He's asking, when the telecommunication providers make all of these improvements and changes, will the service be better?
Yes, PM, definitely. I'm aware that there are pockets of in Dominica where the service is really, really bad. For instance, some providers rely on other providers' infrastructure or infrastructure sharing. For instance, Flow has indicated that in Grand Fond, the service is poor, and they are currently building their own infrastructure so that the service can be improved. So I anticipate that when this is all completed, that the service will be back to normal.
Okay. Okay. No.
Okay, Pierre, may I just add to that?
Hold a second.
Okay.
A call, please. Hello. Hi. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, I would like to ask, what is the government's standpoint on Bitcoin? And whatever the standpoint is, why is that the standpoint?
Can you kindly repeat, please?
Yeah, I'm saying, I would like to find out what is the government's standpoint on Bitcoin? And whatever the standpoint is, why?
Yeah. What is the government's position on Bitcoin? I'll respond to you at some point in the program. But I wanted to ask you, Cassidy, we applied to the World Bank for a loan of 75 million US dollars, EC dollars, 28 million US dollars, to assist us in funding the implementation of this very lofty goal of achieving digital transformation in Dominica. The World Bank has approved this loan. Can you tell us what is expected to be implemented with these funds?
Absolutely, PM.
Yeah.
So this is quite significant. I mean, 28 million US
So
dollars.
it is not only talk, but there's action.
There is action.
And in less than 6 months, the government went to the World Bank, got a loan approved, and wait in the road.
Absolutely.
Right? Yeah.
But there's even more to it than that, PM, in terms of our action and our responsiveness. This thing started with the possibility of us accessing $15 million. But by the responsiveness of the government, it became 20. And no sooner, 28 million US dollars. So this is quite commendable for us here in Dominica.
And what are the aspects? What are some of the things that will be covered by this?
There are various aspects. One, it would be, first of all, let me just retract for a little bit.
Sure.
There's a regional component of this project that the minister is quite familiar with. It's heavily based on cybersecurity and telecommunications. He may speak to that. And we are not drawing down on our 28 million component for that. That's this revising and reviewing legislation and so on for cybersecurity, for sharing information and so on. There's a component for health. There's a component for education, for travel facilitation, for tourism. There are attendant benefits for businesses, for young entrepreneurs, for education, for support to the private sector, for e-government, for digitization and digitalization. So there are tremendous benefits across the board to see that transformation of the way that we conduct business. There's also a major component where we're going to move towards attaining jobs and skilling and retooling young professionals in particular to ensure that they're up to par, they're up to speed in terms of accessing jobs and the opportunities out there. Right.
And also the development of apps as well.
That's correct.
Now, we have to set up a unit to help implement this. So we have two structures, the unit, project implementation unit, but also staffing in your ministry to guide the government's process.
That's correct. So you're right, PM, we have two units and the government has moved aggressively. So just last week, the PIU, that's the project implementation unit, was approved in cabinet. So very soon we're going to see these the terms of reference out there where people will have the opportunity to apply for.
Let's hold your thought there, Cassidy. Let's take a call, please. Hello, please go ahead.
Good evening. We have heard several times about digital economy, and we had ICT. We heard about computers in school. What makes this digital economy different from all other those initiatives? We can go and get a bill of paper. It's not that faster. We can go to customs. At times, customs still tell you to bring your hard copy. So what is it about this digital economy that is so different that we're not going to see some of the same things where you computerize something, but it actually takes longer now to get your service? We gain a lot. It sounds very exciting. I know the minister is working hard at it. But what really makes this time different for us as far as digital? Because we've been transforming and doing e-government for some time now. Thank you.
This is a great question. I really appreciate the question. It's a fair question. It is a real question. The point is, I'll let the ministers respond, just to say that we are left with no other option, and we'll be left with no other option as a country. We have an opportunity to lead the way in respect to the digitalization of our economy, and ensuring that technology and the use of technology is more prevalent, in our community. Obviously, I think what has happened in the past, we have gone ahead with these changes, but left the people behind. And what we're seeking to do differently now is to ensure that we have the people along the process, and get our citizens and residents to have a greater appreciation for the use of technology. The fact is, a lot of us, we're still avoiding the use of technology. I mean, we have online banking, but many of us still prefer go to the lines for one reason or the other. So I think the question is an important one. Cassidy, you have any thoughts on this?
Absolutely, fair question, PM. Yeah. A lot has been done already with e-government or ICT department. They've developed so many apps over the years. But one thing we have found is that people have not, and even in government here, I see our ministry and other ministries have not made very good use in some cases. They've not used these apps to its fullest potential and realized all the benefits. So that is the challenge that we have had so far here in Dominica, and even in government, is for people to adopt this new thrust, this new move to the adoption of technology. So this move is a move from merely just developing apps in silos. It's an app on its own to getting people moving along on this bandwagon, moving along on this train, to change the way we think, transform the way we operate, and to benefit, to see digital economy as being a movement to change the economy and to create opportunities. So what the call is speaking of with e-government is heavily focused on digitization. ICT has done a lot of work in, say, scanning documents, moving it from, say, a filing cabinet to now it being scanned and available on the computer, and using data and accessing this information. What we're moving towards is way more than that. It is linkages, it's creating markets and so on, and alleviating life and making services better, and just improving our livelihoods generally. So this is what we're moving towards, and that's why this component of digital economy under the World Bank project will be incorporating areas for businesses to access and for us to provide support for them, because it's not only government. Well, we are leading the way, but we need all hands on deck. We need all sectors of society involved in this new movement.
Excellent. Caller, please. Hello.
Hello.
Yes. Good evening. Go ahead.
Yes. Good evening. I travel quite extensively, and what I have a problem with is my bank card. I'm doing business overseas with my bank card. I have been embarrassed a couple times trying to swipe my card, and the banks do not liaise with other banks in wherever I go, especially our newly incorporated Republic Bank. Okay, so would this digital economy thing, would it fix that problem for us? Okay.
Well, I believe sometimes this has to do with the type of service which you receive from the bank in terms of the credit card that you use. As I understand it, if you don't have, in some cases, if you don't have a U.S. address, you know, you may not be able to purchase things using a carry for Dominican or Caribbean address. Sometimes the banks place certain restrictions on the use of the credit card. So if you're traveling, you need to tell them for your own protection, you tell them, okay, I'm going to this part of the world. So if you see my card is being used, then I'm the one using it. So there are different things. I would suggest to you, darling, that you may want to speak to your bank and to get them and to share with them this concern and to see what the specific issue is. A caller, please. Hello?
Hello?
Yes.
Yes, I have one question regarding the digital economy. I would like to know what policies or infrastructure that will be in place to help support the digital economy, because I think it's a very good idea what's going on.
Caller, are you there?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, please repeat them. Go ahead.
Yes, I would like to know what policies or infrastructure that will be in place to help support the digital economy. I think it's a very good idea, but I think we need support. It's not just that department only. It's going to take a full range of policies and infrastructure to help support or move, push forward the idea.
Yeah, Cassidy,
okay. Thank you, caller. Well, the very first major policy was to the adoption by cabinet that we're going to move towards the transformation of our digital economy here in Dominica. So that itself is significant. By the mere fact that a ministry was created to focus on that adoption is also very significant. The fact that the government has decided to spend and invest over $28 million in the digital economy is US dollars. Thanks, PM. Yeah. So that is very significant for us here. There are infrastructure components to this. There is also a contract that the government embarked on a year ago, in January of last year, to work on and facilitate the infrastructure. So say, for example, one area that has benefited a lot was the provision of broadband access to most, if not all, sometime soon, the government facilities around the island. We're talking about police stations, health centers, and so on. Even in tourism, we've provided Wi-Fi access to the critical tourist sites, the most important, tourist destinations around the island, and we're looking to provide more internet service points around the island, and that is free. It's completely free. So like I said before, the precursor to digital economy is the infrastructure, the telecommunications and broadband access. So the government has been investing heavily already in providing that infrastructure to support the digital economy. And the government remains committed to doing so and to continuing to do so.
So as you made a point that this is not only about the public service or the public sector, this is about a national effort that would encompass all spheres of society.
Absolutely.
And all sectors of the economy.
Absolutely, that's correct. And even in terms of the service providers, we'll see that after the passage of Hurricane Maria, the investment has been in providing fiber to people's homes. So even that is quite significant.
Now, we've been hit with COVID-19 and there have been many challenges, but it seems that the use of technology have been made more imperative. How do we, for example, are looking to transform approaches in education? We spoke about some of it earlier. How critical is it to incorporate more technology in the classroom also?
Yeah, I think it's absolutely important. So what we have seen as a result of COVID is that, there's a whole shift in the way we deliver education. I was told recently that now a device is part of the book list of some children. So that in itself, speaks volume. And that's the direction I think we will go sometime in the future. But as we rightly say, I think this new normal brought about by COVID.
A phone call. Hello, please. Hello.
Hi. Hello.
Hi, go ahead, please. Welcome.
Yes, pleasant good evening to the Prime Minister.
Good evening to you.
Pakistani and George. Just in connection with the tablets and the laptops that will be given to the students. But I know it's a very good initiative. But my concern is about the teachers because I know during the Google Classroom time that we had, I know that a lot of teachers had their tablets or their tablets, their laptops. Some of them they got crashed. I am one of the examples, and I had to start using my telephone. So I'm wondering if there's anything in place for teachers too, because we are part of the solution too. Thank you and pleasant night.
And I want to thank you, teacher, for your commitment to your students and to our children. And hearing of your commitment, there's so many wonderful stories, of what teachers have had to do in this COVID-19 period to ensure that every child had access to the classroom, and we're grateful for this. Certainly, a very simple response to your question is that in the thrust towards the use of more technology in the classroom for learning purposes, both students and teachers, consideration have been given to both, really. So the teachers won't be left out. You're right, you're a critical component to this effort, and we don't expect you to be using, going forward, your own private device for that purpose. But again, we want to thank you for your commitment. We have another call, please. Hello? Okay. Hello?
Hello, good evening.
Yes, sir. Go ahead, please.
Yes, good evening, PM, and good evening to my future leaders and so on. I'm very much impressed as a Dominican who live out there listening to you all tonight. I think we're very happy to hear the information that is coming out. I want to ask you, but before I ask PM, we didn't make mention about the bank using a card overseas. I had such an experience, and based on what the people them said, is that if you're traveling, you should inform your bank so that they can make provision for you to use your card overseas. So it's a bank policy, just for clarification on that. My own question is, PM, and Mr. Cassani in particular. As a citizen overseas, if your passport expires, like my passport is currently expired now, I would have to send it to the British embassy, and they would have to send it to Dominica, and it's going to take a long period before I could get it back. In this new digital economy, will I be able to access the immigration department and be able to process my passport, passport form, my photos and everything via email, etc., which would make it easier for me to get my passport up here rather than having to send it to DHL and all these things? Would that fall in the new digital economy we are talking about? Just wanted to clarify that, sir. Thank you, and have a good evening.
All right, thank you, caller. Thank you. And very good question also. While I did not mention this component, the government's aim is to ensure that we digitize at least 90 to 100% of all of our services. And with that thrust, we aim to reduce paper as well, the use of paper in the service completely. I know there are there are a lot of challenges as it relates to you having to renew your passport and so on. We are already having talks with the National Security Minister on that front, and we are looking at improving and facilitating citizens in renewal of their passports and transactions as it relates to immigration and, like I said, travel facilitation as well. So that's an area we're looking at, and we plan to have a consultation on that front through the World Bank project as well. So you will benefit, and I'm happy and excited for that. Yep.
But ensuring that all of the security mechanisms are in place.
Absolutely.
We have to ensure that the issuance of the passport, the integrity of it remains intact, notwithstanding the use of technology. So, and this is why we'll be having the consultations to ensure that we can appreciate all of the security systems that we have to be mindful of. But the caller has a very important question. A phone call, please. Hello? Hi. Hello?
Yeah, hello. Yeah, good evening.
Yes, good evening, sir. Please.
You made a point earlier that the government is moving for the digital economy, and that the people are basically left behind. So what is going to be put in place to educate people on all the changes and the use of the different services that the government going to be providing? He also just said something about less paper. I remember when the computer was invented, they said that there was going to be less paper. It looks like there's a lot more paper in use, even having computers. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Well, he's asking about the point was made that in the past we have gone ahead with the transformation, but the people were left behind in large measure. What actions are we taking in this time to ensure that the people walk along with the process?
And that's a good point, caller. And that is why for us over the last few months or so, we have engaged in educating the public, letting them know of the benefits and the need to be along with us in this process. That is why a major component of our World Bank funded digital transformation project includes education and training and retooling. Because what we don't want this situation to be something where it is man against machine at all, and then the people are scared or the people are left behind. We want people to view this transformation as being machines and technology would be so used to benefit all of us and improve our livelihood. So with that being said, if we can eliminate that discomfort through education, then we expect a whole lot more people to come along. If we can convince people and we can teach people and educate them and let them know that if we reduce transactional costs, the cost of services will be reduced for them, then I see there will be a bigger bite or a bigger interest in this transformation. If we show people that, you know, hey, here it is that it's not 70,000 people who could become your consumers, but you have access to 6 billion people around the world, then we expect more people to come along. When we can show that that vendor, that the tourists did not buy your basket because they saw it as being too heavy, too bulky to travel, but then if there's an online platform or website with which you could, you know, purchase and ship it later on, then they will recognize that there's more money to be made and so on. So I just think it's going to be a hand-holding process. It's going to be something comprehensive. All of us need to get involved. The mere fact that this ministry has been established for this purpose shows the type of focus that the government is going to place on this. I am optimistic that this is going to work this time.
Oscar, any views on this?
Yeah, I absolutely agree with the Minister. I think education and awareness is key in this whole process, because the opportunities are there. And the use of technology, it just opened up a world of opportunities for us. And I think if the average man, you know, the man on the ground, the man in vehicles, the man in Tibo, if that person is convinced that this is a good thing, I think that's the way, that's the best way we'll go.
Because we saw it in, with COVID-19, they say in every crisis there are opportunities. Now we're seeing greater buying to the use of technology.
I think what it does, it gives us a chance to innovate. Innovation in education, innovation in the way we administer public services, and I think that's a very good thing for us.
We've seen, we now have meetings via Zoom. We have to travel so many times for meetings. Now, we have meetings also days and nights. So I think these challenging periods are causing us to be more innovative and to recognize that this thing has been there.
Absolutely.
It's been there for years, but we're not using it, and I think now is our opportunity to use it. And of course, these efforts are being led by both of you. And I indicated some time ago, I think it's an opportunity for young people, and that is my vision really, is to get young people to lead this process for us on behalf of the whole country. And I indicated that, I said jokingly, but it's a serious point, that I would like to see a unit of people engaged, people 35 years and younger, who can come in and really use their knowledge of technology to help this country transition and transform into a digital economy. We'll have the unit, yes, the implementation unit, but in terms of advice to the minister, advice to the cabinet, it's an opportunity for young people, and it's a huge opportunity for us to create the future that all of us as young people really want for Dominica. And I believe, as we all agree, this approach will create significant jobs and opportunities. You spoke about the online platform for the lady in the Caligo territory who is selling craft. She's on the side of the road. She has many baskets and other wonderful items, but you cannot travel with a closed basket, with the closed basket. You cannot travel with a nice fruit basket because people are concerned with the luggage. But I'm hoping and praying that we can really implement this successfully. I mean, we have the resources now. We're recruiting the human resources, and I think we need to ensure that at every step of the game, we engage the public and we share with them, and we solicit their ideas and their understanding going forward. But and in respect to building this digital economy and transforming our attitude to job creation and employment, how do we see this digital economy really changing our attitude towards employment and job creation?
Well, one of the things that we've done as a ministry already is to ensure that we tap into the potential that we have. So we have been engaging a lot of young professionals. Many of them have called and actually come and met with me and met with other staff. There's this young lady from Mao, Shade Samuel, who has this business, quick delivery. I've met with her. I've met with others as well. This young professional from Castle Bruce who wants to do a vegan style, food service. However, her challenge is critical mass is in Roseau. How do I get it? I was able to link the two, by being able to meet with both of them. So there's certainly interest by young professionals. That's certainly there, and we certainly want to help them. We have worked very closely with Israel Aid and UNDP recently, and what we want to do is to train at least 60 young professionals, and that will be starting in August. So that's very soon. These people have an opportunity to register, and with that, what they will be trained to do is to access what we call gigs online. So it's freelance opportunities online, say companies like Fiverr and so on, where they can provide the services for pay. So, and I know some young professionals here in Dominica who have been making quite a pretty penny using these opportunities. Some people have actually worked over 8,000 hours, online through these gigs and been making quite a bit of money. So this is what we want to introduce our young professionals to right now. Even for people who are already employed, it could be alternative income for them as well. So they can supplement what they have and have more disposable income. So there's a major thrust to provide jobs for us.
And all of this, Oscar, how are all these things going to impact the ordinary man,
I think
the man on the street?
Yeah, I think the man on the street will benefit indirectly to this. As we said, the youth, everything is targeted towards the youth. Developing the capacity of the youth is important. Having a cadre of skilled professionals in the IT sector is very important. I was reading a report recently which said that the salary skills for IT professionals is one of the highest worldwide, and that is very important. And I know that the elderly people, they depend a lot on the youth. I think the youth are the future, and I think the youth are the ones to drive future development. So a lot of emphasis is placed on that.
What I'm saying so publicly, and what I would like two of you to really do in the engagement of the young people is really for us to almost have a cabinet of young people on the digital economy and telecommunications. You know, young people who are very keen on this, and let us fully engage them. You know, to drive this. So I'm really giving you guys a free hand in advancing this. I believe in it. I am convinced that it is important. This is why in our manifesto we made very strong reference to this. I accept that there are so many benefits to it. You know, if our young people coming from universities, coming to look for the traditional jobs, it's not going to happen. It's not going to work anymore. I don't think we can continue going to university and coming back and waiting for the government to give us a job. I think we have to start. We have to keep creating opportunities for ourselves. And many young people you reference, Ms. Samuel and others, you know, who are creating opportunities for themselves, using these platforms. And I think, and this is why I've said that the education system, I'm hoping to tell the minister sometime next month, we have to review the education system, really have a paradigm shift to it, you know, and to ensure that it is addressing current day challenges, and it is preparing students to deal with current day challenges, because education not about the document called a diploma. You know, it is something that's in your brain, in your head, that you have to use to make life better for you and to make life better for the community that you live in. And I think that we really have to increase the use of technology in our country, and I want us to push very diligently as we've been doing. But I'm really giving you guys a free hand to push this, and let us engage young people and to push this. I'm very excited about it, and I believe that we have to push forward very, very hard. Now, Oscar, now people are confused because they say I have two ministers. You know, one is digital economy, one is telecommunication. Cassidy told us what digital economy is doing. So with telecoms, on your part, what do you focus on?
Well, telecommunications basically deals with all in exchange of information over different telecommunication, different technology. It could be cables, it could be wireless, it could be with wire, it could be over the internet or with radio. And what we see is that a lot of the telecommunication infrastructure is being developed by private sector companies, and government has a responsibility to regulate these companies through various regulatory bodies. So a lot of the emphasis of telecommunication will be regulation. So we will issue licenses to these operators, ensure that they oblige to the conditions in their licenses, and at the end of the day ensure that the common man benefits and get value for money. Also, we will seek to develop a conducive environment for investment and innovation in the telecommunication sector. But with that said, we also focus a lot on post-disaster communication systems. Access to broadband is very important. The issue of cybersecurity, we've seen that traffic on the internet is increasing day after day, especially given the fact that Kovid is around. And, you know, people place their entire lives online. And this can be an entry point for hackers or cyber bullies. So cybersecurity is very, very important. The issue of a common ICT space is also very important. We have the issue of roaming. You know, what sense does it make that I leave Dominica, I head to St. Lucia, and I can't even make a call? The cost is so high. So we are reviewing this. The intention is to reduce the roaming charges and ensure that there's benefit for the average man. So telecommunications basically lays a solid foundation for our transition into the digital economy. and it's something that we look to collaborate a lot going forward.
So if I were to ask you, what are the two things that you'll be focusing on going forward?
Well, we've done an excellent job in terms of building the infrastructure, that's for sure. We've done an excellent job in bringing connectivity to the schools and other public facilities. I think we have done a good job so far in terms of post-disaster communications. We have explored radio communication. Satellite communication is another area we will explore more. Some work has been done in that regard through the UNDP. I think we did 2 Wi-Fi networks using satellite communication with collaboration from the ODM. But these are success stories, and I think going forward we will focus a lot on regulation, ensuring that we get value for money, ensuring that mobile data is not so high in this country, because that is one of the major concerns we are faced with every day, the price of telecommunication services.
Sure. Pastor, any final words for the public?
Well, first of all, I don't want this opportunity to pass PM where, you know, I don't jump on the opportunity to thank you for the tremendous responsibility that you've given to me and Minister George. You know, we're certainly not going to let you down. We are not going to let Dominica down. You know, the workload is heavy, but we are committed to the task. I recently read a document where the World Bank's Ease of Doing Business Index had us as a medium. I want to see us completely transform this from a medium to easy, then to very easy. So this is something that we want to target through the transformation of our digital economy here in Dominica. I want all hands on deck. I want to see the creation of numerous jobs here in Dominica. I want young people to benefit. I want every person in every corner of Dominica to benefit from this transformation. This is absolutely revolutionary here in Dominica. We need to change our attitudes. I know some people are resisting, not through their fault. It might just be that it's based on the generation that they're from. One of the things that we need to do as younger people, say we were to, you know, purchase a device, say for our parents, in my case my mother, don't just download Facebook and WhatsApp and call it judge. Yeah. We need to actually download the Mo Banking app or the First Caribbean app and teach them how to use that, because what you're finding that there's some level of reluctance to use some of these apps and use some of these services because they actually enjoy going to pay that bill. So, and then we tell them we'll do it for them, we'll pay the bill for them, and hence that hesitance. But if we teach them how to do it and we continue to let them have that ownership of paying their bills, but using a different platform or portal, I think they'll embrace it.
Excellent, well said. Oscar, any final words?
Yeah, PM, I think I will be grilled if I don't speak on behalf of the people in Penville before I leave. You know, the people of Penville are very supportive and appreciative of what you've been doing as the PAL rep. You know, going through Penville, you know, everybody approaches me and say, you know, we've been doing a good job in our COVID response and that they're praying for us and stuff like that. So I think it's something that I must mention to you. I think you receive a lot of love in the entire constituency, and I think, you know, what the government have done and what the government will continue to do is something that every person in Dominica is proud of. So I just really want to leave on that note.
Sure. Thank you very much. You know, for me personally, I am gratified that young people like yourselves in your 30s, you know, you have taken full advantage of the education opportunities the country offers young people. You know, you have chosen a constructive path, because in life we all have choices. You are both upstanding young men, young citizens, and I am comforted to know that the future of the country is assured in a constructive and positive way with young people like yourselves. You know, leading the way. You're leaders, and you're leading the way, and that you have been able to avail yourself to national duty. Something sometimes people shy from, but you have taken up the call, and you have been very diligent. And I want to say to the people of Dominica, I don't give people free marks. People know me. I say it as it is, in a respectful way. And I can say that these two gentlemen who are with me tonight have been doing a fantastic job. And I am well pleased with them. And I would like to call on all of us in the country to provide them with the support and whatever guidance you can give and whatever constructive advice you can give to them as they seek to fulfill some very important duties and responsibilities for our nation. They're doing things that many of us, or many of you rather, because I'm in the trenches myself, many of you will not want to do. And therefore we have to even give them greater appreciation for that. Being in public life is not easy. It calls for a lot of sacrifices, personal and otherwise, and they have been leading up to the task. And so I want to thank them for accepting my invitation to be here, and to thank them for the information which they provided to all of us in our country, Dominica. We shall take a break. When I come back, I will take your questions, and we shall have a one-on-one. I shall have a one-on-one with you on Upale. Thank you very much.
I am Alec Athanas, and I'm from the village of Granby. I want to say that I am farming since 25 years, and that's a thing I keep enjoying. But since after Hurricane Maria, I had a loss of plants, and I had to restart. I always require to have a reasonable amount of plant, which at this time I don't have the amount I wanted. I had to, from what I had during the hurricane, I had to distribute and give to many farmers. Because why? I want some farmers to come on the line that they can have also. I do not want me to be the only farmer. And so I think in that, I do the tanya, I do the ginger, and I do the yam, I do plantain, I also do sweet potatoes, not even regular, but I do sweet potatoes. And I've been doing pretty well. So I think at that point, as this World Bank thing came up there, that was a brighten up for a person like me. That it enhanced me, that the tools I've gotten there, and the fertilizers and the chemicals, is just going to brighten me a little more. So I just keep shoving up and planting and opening up the place. It's like life has come up to me. As I said one of those times, guys, like you were somebody, I was somebody drowning, and some hand just came out and took me from under the water and brought me forth and gave me life. And I saw that is what the World Bank has been doing for me personally. It has have me up, and in every area the World Bank looks into and to help the farmer. I am so pleased and so glad about it. So I just keep doing everything that I see possible to do. And the thing I have in focus again is to encourage farmers. If one farmer says anything bad, that this farmer is just a farmer by name, but not a real farmer, because you cannot say anything bad about that. No, you can't say that. I have said to you, it's exciting to be part of that and to know that the World Bank cares about people like that, in that category.
Okay, welcome back. For those of you who are following via radio, the numbers to call 611-3400 or 225-3400. 611-3400 or 225-3400. I just want to inform you, the citizens and residents of our country, that Budget Day 2020 is set for July 28th, 2020. So the 2020-2021 budget address will be delivered to the nation on July 20th, 2020. Now, you would appreciate that this budget will be presented in the context of all of the challenges which the world is experiencing with COVID-19. We've never had this in our lifetime, with our country's borders completely closed, the entire world borders completely closed, movement, hotels shut down, restaurants shut down, barbershops, churches. This has certainly affected every single citizen, every sector of our economy, the global economy, certainly. We try to reopen our borders very cautiously, very carefully, because we really can't afford in this country and in the Caribbean for another national shutdown. That would be disastrous. And this is why we've been very careful with the reopening over the borders to our citizens and to our residents and to our visitors as well. So expect some very exciting things in the budget, notwithstanding the challenge, because in every challenge, in every crisis, we have to look for the opportunities. And this is what we'll be seeking to do in this year's budget. Obviously, one has to appreciate that the budget is only 12 months. It is a planning for 12 months and not for 5 years or 10 years. But certainly you plan for this 12 months, you seek to implement projects that can benefit the country in years to come. And so setting the foundation, setting the walls and in terms of building the home and building the country. Now we are still rebuilding from Maria as well. And now with COVID-19, we have seen a dramatic impact on our revenues. While we are seeing an impact on our revenues, our expenditure have gone up, quite naturally so, because we've had to provide income support to people who lost their jobs or whose incomes were affected. We've had to provide small business loans to citizens whose businesses were affected. I believe we have a call. Hello? Hi? No? We don't have the person. So, hello? Yeah. Is it the people or us? The people. So they're the ones having the problem, not us. Okay. And so we are putting the budget together in this. A number of exciting things in the budget and so on that we believe that if properly implemented can have a huge positive impact on our citizens. And so as I was saying, we've seen a reduction in revenue, but we have seen an increase in expenditure. Yes, caller? Hello?
Hello, good night to you.
Hi, good night to you.
I'm going to tell you as Kendrick to coffee, and I'm going to tell you I will give up this books.
Thank you very much, Dan. Thank you. God bless. Thank you. But we have to seek to be equal to the challenge. We cannot put our heads and go and hide and run away from the challenge. We have to stand up to it and to be creative and forge ahead. Yes, caller, please. Hello. Hello. Go ahead. Hi.
Is it envisaged that the digital economy will cause a cashless society in Dominica?
The cash. I think I heard something about cash flow. That's correct. Hello? Yeah. Just for the benefit of the callers, when you're calling, please turn off your television or lower it down or your radio so that we can hear you quite clearly. Now, the callers, I heard the word cash flow. Obviously, like every business, you know, the government, the way the government is financed and run is no different from the way we finance our own homes and our own businesses. We have an income and we have expenditure, and we have to decide in any given month how much you have and how much you have to spend and how much you have. Yes, hello?
Good evening, PM. How are you doing?
I'm fine, thank you.
It's called from the of Cochrane.
Cochrane. You guys driving on very expensive roads and
yes, lovely, massive.
All right, go ahead, bossman.
I want to find out something concerning the Cochrane Road. We understood that it's not sit in terms of the vegetation and clean up of the road. We need to do some urgent work to clean up the road, the trees and so on. We understood that the contractor has not handed over to the government, so we can't really do any work yet.
Okay.
But we need to clean the road.
Okay. All right. All right, my brother. We are taking note of that, okay? Thank you. We'll take note of this. I'm sure the Minister and the Permanent Secretaries are listening. Now, issue of cash flow, obviously, your cash flow will be affected. You know, there's a drop in revenue, expenditure increase, your commitments increase. So you'll always have a cash flow challenge. You know, we have done an extraordinary job as a government, as a country, to hold things together. And I think in large measure, it speaks to the experience of the cabinet and the experience of the government. If you had a completely inexperienced government in these difficult times, would be in serious problems. And this is not a boasting at all. It is just setting a fact on the table. So very quickly, we're able to engage the international financial system to mobilize resources, additional resources, to meet our increased obligations. And for us to be able to pay salaries in these periods on time and people's full salaries, it is not something that we should take for granted as a country. And the question is, how do you sustain this? How do you sustain having so many students overseas studying? How do you sustain the continued improvement to the infrastructure? How do you sustain the construction of all of these hospitals and health centers across Dominica? How do you sustain the construction of all these homes that we're building? Hundreds of homes, handing over keys to citizens, you know, fixing people's homes, buying new windows and doors for them for this hurricane season. How do you sustain these things? Buying devices for students, so that students who cannot afford can have access to online learning portals and so on. I mean, so we have to ask ourselves these questions in the country, and to also ask ourselves, what is going to be my individual contribution to all of this? So it's not only looking at what is government doing and what Skerrit doing. Yes, Skerrit has to do his part, the government has to do its part, but we must always ask ourselves, what is my contribution to all of this? So I want Dominica to be at a particular distance, and the question is, how am I going to help Dominica get to that distance, get to that point? And I think we have to start asking ourselves, how can I help my country? You know, is there a caller, please? Hello? Hello? Caller's on there. Caller, please.
Good night, PM.
Hey, Bossman, how things?
Thanks for taking my call, man. I've been trying so hard, but I gotta get through.
All right, welcome.
Yes, what I'm saying, PM, I see a guy with a video online showing that some people is still in the battery from the lights on the road. I am so disappointed in these people. When you're trying to do good for people and you're gonna damage something that is so important, like a light on a road who could save somebody's life, I am disappointed. I have one more point. The guy called us talk about passport. I am in the same situation. Because my passport expired. I'm already ready to renew it. So I'm ready to work on that atmosphere.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. Yeah, and thank you, caller, for the lights. I mean, people say the country is dark, you know, and even in the United States, there's certain parts in the United States, if you're a rural community, you don't have street lights because they, you know, the different ratings or gradings of road systems. But in Dominica, in small villages, remote villages, we have street lights. We have gone ahead and we have put in solar street lights and also wind turbine powered street lights as well. What are people doing? They're taking down the street lights, they're stealing the batteries, they're stealing the lamps. You know, they're stealing the batteries and they're stealing the lamps. And so what happens? After we spend so many of this thing, so many of these funds to put these things up, people are stealing them. And, you know, sometimes I ask myself, you know, should I just leave this job and just go back to my village and relax and go to O2 Bay and bathe in every day and relax and so on? Because, you know, why would somebody do that? Why would people do that? You know, why should we go and deface government's property. Because when we now have to, if we spend to put the street lights, we now have to replace them. It is a cost to you, the taxpayers. It's a cost to you, the taxpayers. That we now have to replace the street lights along the Eolibla Highway, and in many communities. Caller, please. Hello.
Hello. Good night.
Yes.
What's up, PM?
I'm fine.
That's Roy from Mongoose.
Yes, my brother. How are you?
I good, man. I good program.
Thank you.
Let me tell you, I would like you to invite the speaker of the house of this day, because I think a lot of us, we don't understand the role of the speaker.
Mm.
You understand? So he can give a little more clarification, because sometimes when he makes decisions for the opposition, they say, oh, the speaker is harsh, the speaker is this, but I guess he's guided by a book or whatever it is. So if he could come on and give us a little more clarification, just to enlighten us a little bit as its role in Parliament.
Sure.
Thank you, Pierre.
Sure. So thank you. So we have to divert monies, and now I intend to launch, just to give you a sneak peek of what's going to be in the budget. We intend to launch, for example, a major initiative to provide financing for small businesses, small and medium-sized businesses, because many small and medium-sized businesses keep complaining that they do not have access to financing, and those who do, it's expensive, and they cannot afford it. And small and medium-sized businesses are critical to the continued survival of the economy and creation of jobs and so on. So we're going to be launching a 3-year program of financing to small businesses that will also include the passage of legislation to create the legal framework for the operation of small businesses, where concessions are concerned, fiscal incentives are concerned, and recognition to the small business sector in our country. So we'll be launching a 3-year, $30 million initiative for the small businesses in Dominica, and those funds will be lent to the small business owner at 1%, and to be managed by the aid bank. So that's just a sneak peek of the budget, and there are other exciting things in there. And these things are being done, my dear brothers and sisters, in a time of COVID. I should really be going to the parliament telling you this tax, that tax, you know, and you have to pay more and cut public servant salaries and send people home, and that's what we should be in these times. So those of us who have a job, we have to say thank God for the job, and we have to be productive. Having a job and going to the office is not working. When you get to the office, that's where work is. You have to work. You have to, and at the end of the day, you have to ask yourself, what did I contribute? What did I achieve? And so we have to be more diligent in this country and so on. So the budget is going to be, very interesting budget, very exciting budget, and this government, this party, which I have the honor to lead, have always been very, very conscientious and very understanding and responsive to the needs of our people. We have always been responsible, very responsible, but very responsive to the needs of our people. And this budget, in this very difficult and trying time, will be no different. Will be absolutely no different. There's a phone call. Please, hello. Hello? Caller? Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm very well, thank God.
Well, I don't have any complaints. I just want to tell you thank you for your dedication to Dominica.
Mm-hmm.
For what you've been doing. Some of us pretend not to have ICT and yes to hear.
Mm-hmm.
But we know that you are doing your best, so we pray for you and your family, and that we continue to understand that, you are doing your best. So just thank you, and we look forward to more things to come.
Sure, thank you. Thank you. God bless you. Yeah, thank you much.
Sure.
What we really need, Dominica, we can disagree on certain things, but I think we need to be much more constructive. much more constructive than we currently are. There's just too much negativism. I said it last time, and sorry for belaboring the point, but it's an important point nonetheless. So we're going to do this and so on. There's a phone call, please. Hello? Hello?
Good night.
Hi.
Turn it down. Turn it down. Hello, yes, I'd like to speak to the PM.
Yes, you're speaking to Skerrit. Yes, go ahead.
Hello, good evening, PM. I called about 5 weeks ago in relation to my aunt, Mrs. Enid Pascal.
Hello?
La Plaine. Hello?
Yeah, La Plaine.
Yes, and in relation to the apartment.
Yeah, my response to you would be more of a private nature, as I would not want to respond to give you the information I have publicly. So we will endeavor to make contact with you privately to provide you with an update on this matter. Okay? Yeah, thank you. So we'll call this caller privately to share with her my investigation on this particular concern which she has. So that's it on the budget. I can't give you more. If I give you more, then there'll be no budget. It's just so. You guys like story already, Dominic. You like. So we're doing this on Monday afternoon at 5 p.m. We're having a meeting of LEAT shareholders. And I intend to participate in this shareholders meeting. As you're aware, the shareholders of LEAT late last month took a decision to liquidate the airline. In Dominica, we're currently exploring various options for travel for our citizens. Yet there are outstanding matters to be ironed out, and a proposal is on the table to reorganize LEAT. Dominica is open to an assessment of this proposal to determine if the plan to restructure the company and restore its viability is feasible. As I have said before, we recognize the important role that LEAT has played in the region since its inception. But despite the various challenges, it has served the people of the region well. And if a reorganized LEAT can continue to provide service, we are open to this discussion. But I wish to reassure you, the public, however, that our primary interest at this time is to identify safe and reliable transport for our citizens. We will make the decisions that are in your best interest to ensure your ease of movement and, most importantly, your safety. I am hopeful that Monday's meeting will provide some clarity on the way forward. I look forward to the discussion with my colleague heads about the best approaches to the region's travel issues. And as I've done before, I will stress the need to create a regional air transport policy that can better guide our decision making in the future. On next week's program, I will also be speaking to a few local entrepreneurs, people who have taken advantage of the opportunities in Dominica to create jobs for themselves, to create jobs for others, and so forth, and to speak to them and to hear from them what they're doing, how they're doing it, why they're involved in this business, and how they believe government can assist them in addressing these issues. And so we look forward to this. And as I said earlier, with regards to the reopening of the borders, I understand that there were some complaints at the airport with people coming in. But let's take a call. Hello, caller. Speak to them. Hello. And to hear from them why they're involved in this business. Hello. How the government in addressing. Yes. Is a caller? Is what the person saying? Can you repeat, caller? Earlier, the borders. I understand that. Caller, turn on your television or radio. Listen to us, please. Let's take a call. Hello, caller.
Yes, good evening.
Yes.
Yes, good evening, Pierre.
Go ahead, please.
There's talk about helping small business, money for small business.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
There's talk about money, putting aside money to help this small business.
Yeah. Turn on the television, my brother, and ask your question, please.
Good evening, Pierre.
Yeah.
My question is, My question is that you said that you're going to put money aside for small business. But what about the young people that want to do a startup business that don't have no security? They have difficulty in getting a loan. A lot of them talk to me about their business plans and so on. And there's no support in the system to have a startup business. That's one issue. The second issue I'm having is that I would like to know who represents the Labour Party in the constituency. We have no representation.
In which constituency?
People living in the Kovid constituency, still on the tarpaulin. They are also not getting any assistance from the Yes We Care program because there's nobody representing Yes We Care in the Kovid constituency.
Which constituency is this? As Goodwill, he says?
My heart fell.
Yeah.
Something needs to be done. I've gone to the Labour Party office now. But nobody seems to know who represents Goodwill.
Yeah.
So that's something I need to look into as soon as possible. Thank you very much, sir.
Sure. Yeah. Well, there's a difference between representation and a caretaker. You do have an elected member of parliament, and this every PAL rep is provided with funds to have an office to conduct their parliamentary duties at a constituency level. And this office is, constituents of any political persuasion can go there, ought to go there, ought to be able to go there to solicit the intervention of the PAL rep on matters affecting them. But what I will say to you is that we will set up an outpost, an office in Goodwill to provide some kind of support to so many of you who need some issues addressed, and so we've taken note of this point that you have made, caller, and we're mindful of this. Now, with regards to the young people, this government has done an access to financing. I mean, we have done an extraordinary, excellent job in providing access to financing for all types of businesses. I believe it might have been in 2009 or before, we established the Dominica Youth Business Trust, where the government places monies at the financial institutions and guarantees those loans. The government guarantees those loans for the young people. They go for training. After the training is completed, they apply for a loan, and the government guarantees those loans. I can tell you, as Minister of Finance, and we have done so because we want to place trust and confidence in the abilities of young people. And it has been working very well. There have been great success, and I think there are many young people who can attest to this and who can give testimonies to the issues of how beneficial the YBT has been. We have had numerous small business initiatives at the Aid Bank, from whether it's in tourism or manufacturing or agriculture or any other enterprise. And also the government has also provided its own funds to the National Development Foundation at a highly concessionary rate to lend to small and medium-sized businesses in Dominica. But we recognize that the commercial banks in Dominica do not have a culture of supporting small businesses for a number of reasons. And they have their own arguments for this, and some of which I agree with them on. But the government has played a tremendous role and will continue to do so. And this is why we're launching in this budget a special loan facility for small and medium-sized enterprises to help finance them, and we'll give more details in the budget address where this is concerned. So making progress in there. It's an evolving process, as you recognize, and people will always want to have access to funding for capital purposes, for operating costs, etc. We have put monies at the Aid Bank. People are benefited. Tremendous number of people are benefited. The process is moving on. I was told by the bank that in I believe in either 3 days or 2 days, they approved and I believe disbursed 83 loans in a matter of 3 days, which is exceptional. And people are benefiting. from this. And we've also put in $2.5 million for medium-sized enterprises to borrow up to $40,000. And there's a free range of things that the people can use these funds for: operating costs, payment of expensive debt, payment of salaries, purchasing raw material, paying their rent. There are a number of things that people can do with those funds and so forth. So we have the one maximum $15,000, the second one maximum $40,000. So these are opportunities there. And when we talk about small business, I mean, the guy who has a boat and he's given a boat by the government and an outboard motor, he has a small business. He's operating. A farmer is a businessman. And the millions that farmers are benefiting. We just saw my friend Mr. Afanaz from Grand Bay there in his farm, and we heard from him. You know, he's gotten benefits from the World Bank. And he's saying, look, if a farmer is complaining now in Dominica today about he not getting help, something wrong with that farmer. That's what Mr. Afana said, not me. And I agree with him. I fully agree with him. I mean, and I meet farmers who are very critical of the government and what the government is doing for agriculture and not doing for agriculture. And they meet me and they sing in praises. And I'm happy to hear that. I'm happy for them. You know, I'm happy for them that they're benefiting and people are saying, look, and people are encouraging each other. Look, apply, take advantage of it. This is, people are attesting to these things. And so we spend a lot of money. So all these farmers are business owners. They're small businesses. You know what I'm saying? A small business doesn't mean somebody have a little office in a little place in town and call it a small business. That's part of the small business, but that's not all. So, and what we're trying to do is to build a more structured approach to the management of people's businesses and to let it be part of the system and so that the system can benefit and all of us can benefit. Yes, Carl, please. Hello. Hi, go ahead, please.
Hey, what's up?
I'm fine.
Hello?
Yes, sir.
PM.
Yes, boss.
This from your constituency.
Yeah, I recognize the voice. Yeah.
Hello?
I'm hearing you, Tabanak.
Right. PMI. Hello?
If you just turn off the television or the radio and ask a question.
PM, I'm speaking from Kivu. That's Matthew.
Matthew. Yeah.
Yeah, that's your boy. PM, I just want to congratulate you on a job well done. And, we're living in a dispensation where people take evil for good and good for evil. They have it back to front. So I just want to know all the discouragement and all what people are saying. You'll not be perturbed by that. You just have to do what you have to do. And the unfortunate thing is that people that expect that people that are called by, they say that they're called by God's name, they use that thing and they usually involve in things that they should not involve in. You are a shepherd, you're leading sheep, and that's what you need to do. And what I realize is that in the final, you have to be very careful that when the Almighty they'll have an account of the Almighty, they will say, I cast out demons in your name, I did this and that, and He will tell you depart from me, you because of iniquity. So we have to be careful when we work. We have to be careful of who you're supporting. And you have a mixed multitude, and you are governing a mixed multitude, and this is not good for the country. It doesn't do the people good. And I just want to encourage you in whatever you endeavor, God is in control, and God first, He says He first, and things will be added. And you are doing a tremendous job for the country. And no matter what people say, you will always have a position. Jesus Christ was on earth doing splendid things, and the people was opposing. So I will re-emphasize and say that there are some people that take good for evil and evil for good, and we have to be careful of them. And Enjoy the rest of the week.
Thank you, caller. You know, I would invite you and all of the listeners and viewers to this program to read Romans chapter 8, verses 31 to 39. You know, and I get comfort in Romans 8. And so, you know, I tell people I'm just a mere mortal, and who am I not to be subjected to persecution? You know, Christ was perfect. You know, he did all the great things, and yet still, he was crucified. He was killed. He was crucified and killed and so forth. So that's part of life. We cannot be daunted, and we cannot allow persecution of oneself to stop you from doing good or prevent you from doing good. It reinforces my commitment to this country and my commitment to people and my love for people. But I'm just on a journey. I'm just passing through. And you know, there's a song, "This World Is Not My Home," and I would paraphrase by saying, this position is not my home. You know, so I'm just holding it for a little while for somebody who will take over at some point when the Lord calls that person forward to replace me. So that's how I go about life and so forth. Bitcoin. In Dominica's case, we fully support the use of Bitcoin. Obviously, we're part of a monetary union. We've spoken about this at the Monetary Council many times, and a decision was taken at the Monetary Council at some point to run a pilot of this. We're having a meeting this Friday coming, the Monetary Council, so I'm hoping I can get an update from the governor on this. But in Dominica's case, you know, we support it. Clearly, we're part of the Monetary Council, and we have to go as a union and not by ourselves and so on. These things, with everything, there are opportunities and there are also challenges, and we have to be mindful of those challenges. But we have been open to the discussion, and we have been open to learning about Bitcoin over the last few years. As I said, next week, I am meeting with some young entrepreneurs, young Dominicans who have looked at Dominica, saw the opportunities, and have availed themselves to those opportunities, and they're creating jobs for themselves, and they're creating jobs for others, and making a huge contribution to our local economy. And so I look forward to meeting them and speaking to them. And you know, when I speak to people, I like listening to people more than me speaking to them. But I always like people to tell me what can the government do to make life better for them, because that's what the government is really in office for. We may not be doing a perfect job, we may not be fulfilling our obligations all the time, but the essential responsibility of government is to make life better for people. And this is what we try to do with the resources that we have at our hands. So I want to thank you, my dear people, for being part of this program. We'll continue every Sunday, God's willing. If you have ideas as to how we can improve this program, let us know. If you have ideas as to what matters we should discuss in the next weeks, in the weeks to come, please send us an email or send us a WhatsApp. We are open to this. And I said, there are teething issues regards to the reopening of the borders. I know there's anxieties, but we have to be very careful. Very careful. We need to follow the protocols. We cannot compromise these protocols at no stage, no step of these stages. And I'm saying to us, we have to be careful. Let us not allow emotions to get the better of our responsibility. We'll facilitate Dominicans coming back home. We'll facilitate residents coming back home. At some point, we'll open up the borders for tourists, but we have to be understanding. We have to be understanding. if we do not handle these things properly, if we do not respect the protocols, if we do not adhere to what is required of you before you leave where you are, you will create problems for all of us. And we will be forced to close down the country because we will have a resurgence of coronavirus in Dominica. We have, with the grace of God, by the grace of God, been able to manage this thing remarkably. We have been able to contain it with the resources that we have. But we have to avoid at all material costs a resurgence of COVID-19 in our country. We are living a new normal, and I know all of you who have been out have anxieties and so forth. We have taken note of the concern about the 24-hour and 72-hour prior to travel. I know people who take the test today and they have to wait for 5 days in America. So when you guys up there on Facebook about Dominica and COVID-19 and what Skerrit doing, what McIntyre doing and so on, we can give you a test in the same day in Dominica. Little Dominica. You understand? So these are things that you need to big up your country for. Something positive. You understand? And you know what? You have to spend 150 US outside of Dominica to do a test. In some Caribbean countries and in the United States of America. You know what we're charging you? 100 EC dollars to do a test in Dominica. And the rapid test, we get it for free. So let's be grateful for this small mercies that the Lord provided to us. Because it's really not Skerrit giving to you, it's the Lord. I am just an instrument. You know, I'm just, the Lord places me in a position to help and to facilitate and to build and to grow. And that's what I'm doing as the Prime Minister of the country, in my little way, with my limited capacities and abilities. And but the Lord has been good to us. We are very grateful to Him. Things could be worse, but we have life. And once you have life, you can redeem yourself, and there are many things you can do to make life better for yourself. But it's important for us as Dominicans to inculcate a greater sense of patriotism and commitment to hard work. We can't be loiterers. We have to work. And these days, the sunset is 6:45 at night. Why we at home watching TV at 3 o'clock and 4 o'clock? We should be out growing food on the construction site, painting, building. You can't be washing your tools at 3:30 in the afternoon and you go home and watch TV. And they say, well, where the money Skerrit have and so on in Dominica to give man and so on. My brother, work a double shift, work extra hours. It's only we're young now, we have to work, You can't work when you're 8 years and you're still out there 8 years. You have to work now. They tell you, this is biblical, You have to work while you're young. And we would like to rest. One guy told me, sleep is overrated. We sleeping too much. The sunrise should never meet you in bed. You fellas, it's sun hot outside and men rolling in bed and meet them, my brother. Go and do some work, do something else. Well, because when we go overseas, we have 2 free jobs. We have 2 free shifts. In Dominica, we're resting. What are we resting for? What are we resting for? We're resting too much in Dominica. We pose in too much. We have to be more bubbly in this country and get things done and get things done much quicker and so on. So that's my challenge to you. God bless you. God bless your country. God bless your families, and so forth. It's wonderful engaging you. Really a distinct pleasure. Thank you. Sleep well, and work hard this week. So go and iron your clothes and go to work early too. Don't get stuck in traffic. Good night. I'll leave you guys soon.
Your families and communities safe. Before a hurricane, ensure that you know your emergency shelters. Contact the Office of Disaster Management for information on shelters closest to you. Have disaster supplies on hand. Non-perishable canned food and water. Portable battery-operated radios. Flashlights and extra batteries. Essential medicines. First aid kits. cash and bank cards. In the home, protect your windows. A low-cost approach is to put up plywood panels. Trim branches away from your home and cut all dead or weak branches on any trees on your property. Check into your home and auto insurance. Confirm that policies are valid and coverage is appropriate. Make arrangements for pets and livestock. Develop an emergency communication plan. Make sure that all family members know what to do. Teach family members how and when to turn off gas, electricity, and water. During a hurricane watch, listen to the radio or television for hurricane progress reports. Avoid open flames such as candles and kerosene lamps as a source of light. If power is lost, turn off major appliances to reduce power surge when electricity is restored. Store drinking water in clean jugs, bottles, and cooking utensils. During a hurricane warning, if you need to evacuate your home, lock up and go to the nearest shelter. Take blankets or sleeping bags to the shelter. Listen constantly to a radio or television for official instructions. Store valuables and personal papers in a waterproof container on the highest level of your home. Stay inside, away from windows and glass doors.